Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa and happy Sherpaween. So we've got a super fun Domain Sherpa review coming up today with Braden, Ammar, and Jen, and everyone's wearing costumes. You might even see a special guest show up. But don't be scared. We still play the domain game, and this time we've got parasail.io, climax.net, and squeegees.com, which was a NameJet domain that we talked about in a previous episode. Speaking of NameJet, we've also got the NameJetgonnajet segment, sponsored by NameJet, and we talk about some domains coming up for auction, such as looksgood.com, theused.com, and houseoffashion.com. We then get behind the mask with the Sherpas to talk about some of the tools and tactics that they use when evaluating domains at NameJet and other platforms. So don't let the costumes and shenanigans fool you. There's still some domain treats that are given out in this episode. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can watch the video version, which I recommend for this show in particular, at domainsherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. We now have all the past episodes there, so you can dig into the largest library of domain-related podcast content in the world for free. You can also check us out on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. And as usual, big shout out to Dan.com, the #1 place in the world to buy and sell your domains with a special platform made for domain investors. With that, it's now time to get into this episode of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains, and this is Sherpaween. What's up, Sherpa Network? Happy Sherpaween. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, a.k.a. Sherpa Winfrey, a.k.a. Mr. Clean. And I'm the host and producer of Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Today's show is a special Domain Sherpa review. I got some co-hosts with me that look a little different than they usually do here on All Hallows Eve. We're getting it in. We costumed up, well, except for Ammar. That's what he actually normally rocks. That's the crazy thing. Everyone's going to be like, oh, man, he finally actually wore his real gear on the show. And so this is where we get into the minds.
And you.
I know.
This is just you not wearing a NameJet t-shirt.
I have the eyebrows. I got the earring. Come on, man. You know what I mean? Well, actually.
There you go.
There it is.
Actually, that reminds me. I need to go get a magic eraser.
You're like, oh, this place is dirty as all get out, man. Somebody's got to get in here and clean this place up. Today's show is the Domain Sherpa review. We're recording at night. I mean, this is different than our normal jam, just a little bit. But it's when we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become more succcious domain name investors ourselves. These are the experts. There are 4 segments to a Domain Sherpa review.
I mean, we look like the experts, don't we?
I mean, anybody that's going to come across this show is going to be like, I'm not learning anything here. Hey, at least we don't have to say not financial advice, because there's nobody that's taking financial advice from this group, this motley crew.
Clearly.
More on that in a second.
Bunch of clowns.
Bunch of clowns, you know, like greased lightning. All right, I intro the Sherpas. We see what's going on with them. We talk about some related things. The domain game, that's where we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses. We keep score and get some swag to the winner. Someday we'll get swag all the way to down under, maybe. But today we'll kind of mix it up a little bit. And then segment 3, NameJetgonnajet, sponsored by our friends at Name. Oh, wait, no, not today. At NameJet. And Billy, throw it up on the screen. Give NameJet some love. And then last but not least, we got grand closing. Anything we haven't already covered already. What's going on in the domain space, looking at the market trends, current events, allowing our guests to mention and promote anything that they want to talk about that we have not already discussed. So with that, let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got Braden Pollock, a.k.a. Pinky the Clown, a.k.a. Tony Stark, a.k.a. Eat, Bray, Love, a.k.a. Benjamin Button, a.k.a. Braden Statham, a.k.a. Braden Pollockton, the Archduke of Calabasas. Who's not from Calabasas? We get it. Barnum and Bailey, we get it. A.k.a. Braden of Iniquity. He's here. He's brought the rainbow in the background. He's got the rainbow on his head. He's got a tail on that suit, but you guys don't get to see that. You got to pay extra for that. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Listen, you're all my friends. I'll show you my tail. For all of those listening right now and not watching the video, you are missing out.
Oh, right. I always forget that.
If you're wondering, what's going on? We're all in costume right now.
We are all in costume. It looks like, we're a motley crew. We really are.
We will be trending on Twitter very soon.
Well, let's keep it moving. With that, we'll go ahead. Lower right, we got the homegirl Jen Sale, aka, well, it's Sandy. What's Sandy's last name in the movie? What's Sandy's last name?
Well, she's Sandra D.
Sandra D. All right, Sandra D.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Grease. You know what I mean? AKA Sandra D, AKA Aussie Osborne, AKA Olivia Newton-Jen, all coming together, AKA Crocodile Dundee, AKA Dingo Star, AKA the Wonder Woman from Down Under, woman, AKA Mel Born to be Wild, AKA Jen. If you have to ask how much it is, you can't afford it, and our stuff never goes on sale. What's up?
Damn.
What is up, Sandy?
I'm just regretting a lot of my life decisions right now. Definitely a career highlight for me today. This is, it's great.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's all good. I mean, I watched Grease a long, long time ago, and I guess with the white T-shirt, I could throw on the leather jacket and maybe, but none of those guys have the shaved heads. They all got like more looking like what Ammar is rocking right now. So
Yeah.
let's go. So let's talk about that. We got below me, we've got my boy Ammar Kuba, aka Nikki Six, aka Vince Neil, aka Paul Stanley, aka Gene Simmons, aka King Kuba, aka Danny Ocean, aka the even greater Gatsby, aka Ammar Zan, aka Kuba Libre. What's going on, dude? Are you anybody specific, like with this the rock star costume?
No, I'm just whatever my wife told me to be.
You're like, I'm whatever.
Yeah, we actually watched a documentary the other day on Nikki Six, Motley Crue. It was actually pretty good.
Oh yeah, hey man,
made me kind of get into the mood for it. You know, I got my wrong side. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, let's go. I love it. You did some
I got got some tattoos. I got. Wait, where is it? The other side there. I got a chick there. I got it all.
Yeah, I love how you took.
I got one that I can't show on camera. I'll show you guys later. If Braden shows.
It's like it's the tail. Yeah, I get it, man. That's what's up. It's I like how you took a method acting approach to this. You're like, I watch movies. I got, like that'd be like me being like, I clean the house all day today to get ready for this. And I'm good to go.
Ammar's been in character all day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He's just walking around Vegas and nobody's even looking at him twice. That's the crazy thing.
You can't even see. I even got makeup.
Oh, let's go. You guys are all like, damn.
First time I've ever worn.
We're handing out prizes. I think it's going to be a tough one between you two at the bottom there,
Would you say it's the first time you've worn makeup this week?
This is the first time I've worn makeup ever, as far as I can recall. Oh, it's kind of cool.
All I know is Ammar walked around outside today, and nobody cared. No one noticed.
You don't really recall your 20s though, so
that's true. By the way, JT, we have a board meeting tonight in my building. I'm actually thinking of going like this.
You totally should. I'm really telling you though, man. I keep saying it. You're in Vegas. Everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, that's what's up,"
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, "That's cool, man." They're like, you're gonna be like, "Oh, it's Halloween costume." They'll be like, "Oh, it's October. I didn't even know." I just thought you were just, doing your thing. Ooh, that's strong. Let's get it. All right, let's go, y'all. So those are the Sherpas. We're ready to get it in. Yeah, I would highly recommend that if you typically listen to the podcast as opposed to watching it, this is the one to watch. Because it's it's pretty wild in here, and and I appreciate you guys coming correct, because really, Braden, you look good. You look good, man. I'm just telling you straight up. But I don't know. I mean, these two, like, I didn't know what anybody was going to be until they showed up, and now I'm like, damn, y'all not playing. Yeah, Jen, you got like some kind of extra sparkle going on too. You like with the whole thing behind you, man. Everybody, again. Get on the site, check out the video, go to ds.tv, check it out there. If you're listening to it, you're missing out. All right, so let's slide into the domain game and actually talk about some domains here on Sherpaween. Braden, it would start with you, man. What do we got?
What do you want me to talk about?
You got to buy, you got to sell. You want to talk about your tail?
Show before, bro? Come on.
You're talking to Pinky the Clown, right?
Pinky the Clown. All right, yeah, that's it. All right, everyone's got to be in character. That's it. I'm only going to refer to everyone as their stage name for the rest of the show.
Your beard, dude.
Okay, I have not unfortunately.
He should have dyed the beard. If he dyed the beard like multiple colors, that would have been
Yeah. We'll give you time to go do that. Go ahead.
I was actually going to do a costume change. So go ahead. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, I haven't sold anything in the last couple of weeks.
That is not unusual.
Bummer.
Yeah,
So because I don't sell that many names,
Yeah. No.
So I guess I got to do a buy. So I own parasale.com and I just picked up parasale.io.
Parasale.io. All right, so let's see real quick. Don't forget, we got to put it on our phones, right? Is that the we got to, and then turn the phone around, you guys, or write it or something like that. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing. Thanks for watching the shows you're not on, by the way. Appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? That's like, I love that. So what we've been doing, based on, it was a recommendation by one of the the audience members, you know what I'm saying, like one of the community basically said, hey, what would be better this way, you guys can kind of game the system, so everyone puts in the number and then they flip their phone around with it. So,
but how are you going to see? Like, how do we write it so big on our phone?
Do it on your calculator.
They do it on the calculator. Yeah.
So just to confirm, we're talking about Parasale, PARASAIL.io, correct?
Correctamundo.
And it is a buy. And we will start below with Sandy. Billy's going to have to play some of the Grease music. We're going to have to get some of that popping.
Do we put it up at the same time, or do we do it one at a time?
Oh, yeah, you're right. We do it all at the same time. My bad. That's a good call. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, somebody doesn't watch their own show.
I know.
Oh, wow. There you go.
All right, I'll drink. All right. All right. Let me know when y'all are ready.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Boom. All right. So for those of you who are listening and not watching, Ammar's got 2,000. I've got 2,500. I'm sorry. Wait, is it Amarzi Osborne has 2,000. Mr. Clean's got 2,500. And Sandy has $4,250. All right, Pinky the Clown. What'd you buy it for, Pinky?
All right, closest to the pin is Amarzi Osborne.
Man, riding off the rails on a crazy train.
And the answer is hand reg, $33.
No way, really? Oh man, I feel like we just got punked there.
That's great. That's really good, dude.
All right, so let's talk about that then, because obviously we thought this name, and I think some of that, I'll say for myself, I expected that if you bought it, for some reason I wasn't even thinking hand reg. I was thinking you paid, some amount of money for it. You also led in with the whole, I had a complimentary name, so it made it seem to me like, okay, you had an actual interest in acquiring, the .io, right?
But that actually, I think, goes in the other direction to actually lower the price, in my opinion. But I'll let you finish what your thought.
No, that's fine, Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could just cut me off.
Am I going to get canceled too?
Well, it depends how crazy, depends how wild you're going to get.
Damn.
Mar. Shorten it to.
So I think Braden, I think a lot of us do this where we'll get some of the, if we have the .com, we're going to want to get some of the lower TLDs to kind of bolster it and to offer maybe a backup option if the people can't afford the .com, number one. But number two, the reason I was saying, disagreeing with you a little bit, JT, is because you don't want to spend too much chasing that. Sorry, Mr. Clean. You don't want to spend too much chasing that alternate TLD, right? Because you're actually better off letting somebody else buy it if it's, at some certain price. And then if they actually have any success with it, they'll end up needing to buy your .com eventually, most likely. So I don't think it would. I actually, if I could go back, I would probably go back to 1,000 instead of 2,000 as my guess But
If I could go back, I'd go back to $33, dude.
no. But I would have guessed 1,000. But what I'm saying
He's like, if I could go back after knowing what he paid for it, I would have guessed the exact number.
Well, I'm telling you my fucking thought process, bro.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm just happy to be here. Talk. This is what we do.
And it doesn't even matter because even when I win today, I'm not going to get my swag.
Oh man.
Sure.
Now it's
okay,
like
so does anybody want to hear my logic behind it,
Yes,
or you guys
please.
just want to ruminate on what it could be?
Nah, we're good.
All right. So I do like to pick up the lower TLDs for a couple of reasons. One is most people that reach out for a particular keyword can't afford the .com, right? So, my names are 6 figures, 7 figures, and most people don't have that. So I have the opportunity to offer them an alternative, a much, much cheaper alternative to the .com. That's number one. Number two,
I like that.
I can use it as an upsell. So let's say I'm trying to get the .com buyer over the line. I can toss in as a package deal the alternative TLDs that I have. The other thing is I could sell the .com and then come back to them with an upsell, which I have done.
Yeah. No, I think
go back and be like, hey, I also have the .net and the .org or whatever, and try to get a little bit more money from them after they've picked up the .com.
And here's my point with that is that's why I think those are all value adds here, which to me, especially the way you front loaded it in the introducing the name to say that you had the .com, made it seem like that was the right, I still feel good about my guess. If I had to go back, I'd guess the same amount again. How's that, Marzan?
That shows you that you don't learn from your mistakes, Mr. Clean. By the way, I didn't realize, Braden, your whole strategy is tossing.
Yeah. Tossing.
That is not anywhere close to okay, Amarzi. That is not appropriate here.
This is a family show.
This is we got kids in the audience. All right. Sandy, do you have any feedback or thoughts on the domain?
Sandra D.
Have thoughts, bro.
Nah.
Nah, bro.
Nah, bro. I'm good.
All right.
Nah.
All right. So do you have a name to throw into the domain game? Because I think and Amarzi, do you have a name?
I do.
Okay.
It goes along with Braden's tossing.
All right. So why don't you go ahead and do your name? I don't know. Toss your name out. Toss your name out, bro. I'm just gonna be back here cleaning up.
Toss it out.
Cleaning up.
So this name hasn't closed yet, but they have funded. They just haven't so it hasn't officially closed, but it has funded. It's climax.net.
All right.
Really?
That's why I said for Braden, it's right up his tossing alley.
Braden Tossington.
Braden toss often?
All right, so I'll go first. Oh no, we all do this at the same time, man. I don't know. I'm losing it tonight. All right. And you bought this or sold this?
Sold it.
Okay. All right. I have a number.
Wait.
Nope, take your time. Take your time. We got all night.
Great.
Throw down some more Jack while I'm waiting.
Yeah, so you should have a whole bottle. You should be doing the whole thing, man. For me, I'm keeping it clean. I'm keeping it clean with just seltzer and.
Dude, I told you I haven't had anything to eat since Saturday, so this is just water with electrolytes.
Oh,
and
right.
Today, and it is currently Wednesday night.
Correct.
For those that don't know,
I'm 4 full days in.
Oh man,
Wow.
I got you doing the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you look great. You know what I'm saying? You're looking good.
This is what a water fast will do for you.
Yeah, exactly. You're like 3 days in. I'm wearing a wig and eyeliner. Like, fuck it. Live your best life. Water. YOLO. All right. Let me know when y'all are ready. Put some numbers up on the board. Climax.net, y'all. Climax.
Here we go.
All right.
Ready?
3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay. Braden, we can't see yours. What is yours?
I'm trying to get it.
Oh, there it is. Oh.
Wow, very
extension. I don't know.
All right, so for those of you who are listening at home, Braden's got $9,888. Mr. Clean or Pinky has that $9,888. Mr. Clean's got 10,000 even, and Sandy's got 35,000. So, all right. No, hey,
this may be the closest one. I think Braden gets it by $12.
No,
Yes.
9,900. Buy now.
Oh, that is crazy. That is like, oh, I love he's got
actually, no, 98 is that
yeah, no, he's good.
$12.
He's close to $12, but the thing is that I was 112 off. So, you know, so as close as we were, what's crazy is that it actually hit in the middle between Braden and I. You know what I mean? I expected like, oh, one of us is going to be on the over under of this 10,000 line, but you actually like right in the middle of it, which is pretty crazy. So shout out to me for being really close, even though I didn't win. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Yeah,
Shout out to me.
We still love you, Mr. Clean. Sandy.
And, all right, so Jen, why don't you give us your rationale on 35K for climax.net?
I just didn't think Ammar was that cheap, but anyway.
Oh, Amarzi. She's like, he's been tearing up hotel rooms.
Listen, when it comes to .nets, I come cheap when it comes to .nets.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I don't track those.
Nope. That's all. No, that's all. We're not gonna do that.
The last 30 seconds, people just heard beep.
It got really real. But all right, well, you know. So no, I think so why don't you give us the rundown, Ammar? What'd you buy it for? You sold a name. Congratulations. You know what I mean? Normally takes a lot to pry them out of your rocker hands, you know what I mean? So
let me see what I paid for it. I don't remember. I think it's a name I've had for a while. And as I always say on Sherpas, I feel like I like .nets and I have some great ones, but they just don't sell for me. So I've had this one since 2014 and I paid $661 in 2014.
That's awesome. So, you know, a little like 18X or whatever it is. And, you know, you've been hanging on to it for a while, but, you know, I think with the .net, I actually think that's a really good price for a .net.
I think it is too.
Especially
for one, like, what do you do with it? I'm not sure. I'm curious what the buyer is going to do with it.
I would almost think it has to be an adult type of,
that's what I would think, but I don't know.
And for those that don't know, adult names just don't fetch a lot of money. I've got a few, they just don't do that great. I mean, I've got sex.co. Like,
wow.
I mean, I did get an offer for 120,000 at one point, but I mean, that's it. You know, I spent some money on that thinking, what a great keyword. And just look at the type of traffic alone is like 600 visitors a day, but the traffic just isn't worth that much. Adult traffic is inexpensive.
Yeah, that's interesting. And, you know, because they'll ask us, you know, about brokering adult names and, you know, are you guys okay with it? It's like, yeah, we're fine with it. But, you know, I think to your same point, you know, they don't necessarily, you know, fetch as much money as people think that they do, you know. And I think people also hear like, you know, Rick Schwartz sold porn.com for, you know, $9 million or, you know, 8.888 or whatever. And you know, and I think that sort of shifts people's perceptions, you know what I mean? But
right, but that was also a long time ago, and that was when adult traffic was worth a lot more, I think. But you know, also
it's porn, or I think it was porno. Was it porno? Yeah. Porno.com.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
There's porno.com, there's porn, there's sex.com. I mean, that's it. I mean, it drops off. I mean, there's a few other keywords which we won't repeat, but you know, it drops way off.
Oh, I like that you guys. I'm glad that you're finally coming around and trying to keep us from getting shut down early. That's good. now we'll chill out. All right. Well, cool, man. Cool. Good job. Good sale. You know, I've had it in the. You know, again, I was pretty close with my guess, as was Braden, and because I think that, you know, just seeing what the names sell for.
Be a gracious host.
I'm always gracious. That's part of what I'm about. You know.
I was $12 off.
I know, that's pretty awesome. I've hit it right on the nose before, you know. So
see, you
So
see, that's
that
you
was
not being a
that
great
was the
employee.
actual climax. You know, being $12 off was sort of a premature guess, if you will. You know, so
Oh my God, Billy, just beep that all out. Just beep out
this is going to
everything.
be behind a paywall. You know what I'm saying? So we're just going to have to change up the way we do things here. All right, that was all good.
By the way,
yeah.
Pete, you actually really do look like Mr. Clean.
Dude, you know what it is? I'm like trying every time I get in the
Yeah.
right. That's how it's like it's weird. My costume's getting better as the show continues.
You've got a fallback. You've got a fallback career for sure.
Oh, hey, you know, I'm a bit of a germaphobe, so I will, you know, I get busy with keeping it clean. All right, let's see. So, Jen does not have a name for the game. Where are we at score wise? So, is it 1-1?
A one.
I got one.
Yep. Okay. Well, then let's do this. Let me. Why can't I log in? Oh, all right. Come on, NameJet. Y'all jetting. I'm gonna pull up a name that recently sold, and we'll use this as the tiebreaker. But I'm waiting for my internet to work better, or for NameJet site to work better. So everybody just bear with us here as we work through the technical difficulties. So. All right. Anybody got any big plans for the Halloween night for the
I'm going to a Halloween party.
All right. Are you going to go as Pinky the Clown?
I might now. I don't know. It's possible.
Well, you should definitely dye your beard if you're going to do that.
Ooh,
Like,
I think that was solid. Even if you just go one color, like red, like bright red, like the top of the wig,
Yeah.
I think that would be a good look.
That would be cool.
Very cool.
Any color.
All right.
Green.
Finally in. All right, here we go. Anybody else? Jen, Sandy, what do you got going on? You and Danny.
Can you see
and
that?
Danny Zuko? Are you guys off to do something fun? What's up?
Can we get this?
No, not really. It's not super huge here in Australia. It's grown over the last 5 years, but it's not massive.
There, how's that? Look.
There we go.
Oh, how'd you do that?
That's a real picture.
Yeah. I think I like the picture better than you.
That was for Burning Man. I actually dyed it rainbow.
I think you should do that if you're going to go to a party.
I went to a salon and I said I want to dye my beard for Burning Man. They're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Whatever." And then so they dye it. I'm not looking in the mirror, right? I'm facing away, and then they turn me around and it's a rainbow, and I'm like, "That's what I get for asking two gay guys to dye my beard." And they're like, "Okay."
Hey man, you know, you should hire them again to do the joint for the party on Halloween.
Can you see?
So Sandy, nothing.
Okay, what is that?
That's a Burning Man picture where we're kind of dusty and my rainbow beard's a little faded.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you look like something else, somebody else. It's hard to see though.
Yeah.
But all good stuff. All right, well, let's do this. Let's get this. This is the tiebreaker right here. So no matter what, it's going to be who's closer between Braden and Ammar, but Jen, you can guess as well. So the name is squeegees.com that's sold on NameJet, so don't go looking at it. Hands up, you know, just phone only. Squeegees.com. Is anyone familiar with what it sold for? Was anybody? I looked at it and didn't see anybody in the auction. Squeegees.com, the correct spelling, the formal spelling. The old English spelling of squeegees. And
okay.
Let me know what you think.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, 3, 2, 1, show it. Okay, so Amarzi, what do you got? Amarzi's got 2,500. Jen's got 2,750. I'm sorry, Sandy's got 2,750, and Pinky the Clown has $3,650. And the winner of today's domain game is, drum roll please, which is appropriate for some rock and roll, because it sold for just under $2,000. It was $1,974. and which I think is like a pretty reasonable price for it. You know what I mean? Some of these that a name that I kind of want to get your feedback on. Nicelife.com was one that we talked about on a prior show that just closed a couple days ago. And it sold for $9,000. What do y'all think about nicelife.com for $9,000?
I wanted to bid on that, but I forgot. I like the name, but that's too much for wholesale for sure. Like, I don't know what your upside is on that, but
Well, it was on NameJet.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, wholesale is way too much. I mean, there's just so many bidders out there that are like, I could double my money. GoDaddy thinks it's worth $18,000, so I could double, and they just don't realize that it's fine. I mean, you probably double your money, but it's going to take you 10 years to do it, which is now a terrible ROI.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm the reason I bring it up is because I really like the name as well. We talked about it on an earlier show, and I thought the same thing. I thought, went too high for NameJet at a wholesale price. But so what do you like that name at? You like it at $5,000? You a buyer at 5,000?
wholesale, no, still too much.
Okay.
I'd say I'd probably, and even though I would probably pay 2,500, I think that would be overpaying. Mm-hmm. I like the name, but I don't see a lot of use cases for it that would pay a lot of money. Like I can see being a great brand, but I just don't know I think there's too many alternatives, and I just don't see a very valuable use case.
Okay. I like it. That's good feedback. That's why I brought it up, because I'm looking at the list of stuff, and it was a name I was really into, and it got too high, obviously. And, but just always like getting your feedback, guys. You guys are the experts, so even when you look like that.
And it's not because of the backlink profile. It's a DR5 with 7 referring domains.
Okay.
So, which is common for a dropping domain. Oftentimes a domain that drops has been in use, so it's going to have some backlinks, but this is not a great domain rating. So the price wasn't driven by this.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it could be a great brand. I mean, I think it's definitely, a very much a brand, play kind of domain. But like you said, $9,000, like, unless it's an end user that bought it. Which I'll take a quick look and see who the winner was. No, it looks like it was kind of a regular Snap Names buyer. So, all right, well, good feedback. All right. And that's it. That's the domain game. Ammarzi, congratulations. We'll send you some swag, maybe a guitar pick. MediaOptions, DomainSherpa, guitar pick, or something like that.
Nice.
I like it.
We'll see. I don't know.
Anything, bro. You could send me some MediaOptions like lint. I'll take it.
See, that's what it is. We let people hold out so that way, by the time they get something, they are so appreciative. You know what I mean? It's like making you walk through the desert with no water. By the time I got my canteen, you think I'm Jesus, not just Mr. Clean. You think I'm, I think I'm bringing it. All right. And I was going to do a costume change. So I was going to actually start as Black Adam. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a Black Adam costume. So I was going to start with that. And then I was going to break when we go to commercial. And then I was going to come back as Mr. Clean. But costumes.com, which I love the domain name, I don't love the service. Just going to say, paid for expedited shipping, didn't get expedited, didn't get here on time. So, but what a domain though, right? And I think it plays into my story because, I could have ordered from a couple different places, including domains like cosplay-25USA or something.com. And I didn't. I ordered from costumes.com because I said, hey, if Amazon doesn't have what I need and I can't get it at the local costume shop, what better place that instills trust than costumes.com? Am I right?
Right.
So anybody at any point in time have that domain in your portfolio? Braden, did you sell that to them maybe?
No, I wish I had though.
That is a confusing name.
Isn't it great, right? I mean, it's that example of like, if that's what you're going to do, you're not going to get a much better, unless you're going to have a brand that's something that's going to really build up. But from a generic standpoint, it got me to buy.
Yeah.
Remember during COVID, you couldn't get alcohol wipes to save your life. Like, no one had wipes, alcohol wipes or anything like that. and I couldn't find it. Was backward on Amazon and everywhere, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna type in wipes.com, see what's there. Fully developed site, selling wipes, like their own branded stuff. They're selling to gyms and hospitals, and I was like, they had it in stock, and I ordered it.
Ah, see?
Good to go.
Boom, love it. So shout out to wipes.com. Opposite of a shout out to costumes.com, other than having a fantastic domain name. So I guess some props for y'all.
No.
But it's all good. I'm not that mad. Mr. Clean turned out.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, it's perfect.
Yo, Ammarzi, man, I like your vibe, dog. I like you know, you definitely like, yo, I'm 4 days, nothing but water up in this piece, like I'm like having an out of body type of deal, like a vision quest right now, all right, well, with that, domain game's over. Congratulations to Ammarzi. Let's take a quick break for a commercial, and then we come back. We're going to rock out with some NameJet here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains.
MediaOptions is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, MediaOptions offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. MediaOptions believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. We're out here. It's Sherpaween. It's getting spooky here, and I am just really excited to be here. Much love to my co-hosts. I think some are giving others a hard time, but it's all good. It's all good. I think, it was all off stage it was off stage. Anyway, big shout out to New Amsterdam Vodka, by the way. It's our sponsor for this evening's show. Actually, it's not, but Billy left a bottle of it at my house. I don't know. I think it's pretty cheap, but we don't really pay him a lot. So
Poor Billy. Billy, I'll buy you a nice bottle of vodka.
I'm like, dude, you couldn't leave Tito's at my house or something. Just, I don't have that,
Nope.
He's like, I guess all the Smirnoff was gone. Not even the Smirnoff, it's like the, whatever, like the old Nikolai, you know what I mean? Anyway, but big shout out to Billy. It's all good. All right. Well, let's slide into the NameJet segment, sponsored by NameJet. I got to do the shirt thing anyway, even though I'm in my Mr. Clean gear. For those of you who are just tuning in, it's Sherpaween. Everybody's in costumes. We got Pinky the Clown. We've got Sandy from Greece. We've got Ammarzi Osborne, fresh off tour, tattoos, eyeliner, and everything. CBGB, like, let's go. You should have rocked like a British accent or something for part of this, on some.
No, I used to have one when I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You grew up in London, because it's like you kind of. I'm getting a vibe of like the Forgetting Sarah Marshall. What's his name? Russell Brand's character.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally doing that right now. All right. Well, we got a list. We got a list here, and we got names. So. Let's start with Sandy, and tell us, what do you like on the list? What don't you like? Oh, big shout out to NameJet real quick on the list that it's available on the site. Go to the page. We've got all the names that we're going to talk about. We've got some additional information, including how many back orders as of the date that we tape the show, and then how many days left as of the date that the show airs. These are all expiring domains. So which means they're all going to go to private auction. They've all got multiple back orders. So if you have any interest in any of these domains, get your back order in before the end of the back order period. Otherwise, you can't participate. Braden is losing his head on some Ichabod Crane meets.
That was cool, right?
You're like Ichabod Crane meets Johnny Depp's character in Willy Wonka. I'm like, there's a lot going on right now in Braden's Hollywood Square, if you will. So. All right. So we got the list. We got about 17 names. Sandy, what's good? What's up?
Well, I did think about doing something a little bit different before I list some names. in that I thought if we could provide some actual value to the watchers, listeners today.
Okay. I like the approach. I like the approach of actual value. I'm going to,
I thought this was just about us.
No, exactly. But if people do want to learn something, so I just thought I'd share like how when I'm looking at a list like this, how I evaluate like wholesale value, chance of resale, retail value. I love it. If you can take it serious at all, here's just some things that I do.
No, that's great. That's really, really great insight. We used to do that kind of stuff, but then these guys just mail it in every show. You know what I mean? So it's just
right. So obviously, you give us a spreadsheet that's got SDBot and NameJet data. So that's the first thing that I'll look at. Now, some of these are not in order, but then I'll do things like check like past use on archive.org. Check Ahrefs for stats, scores, like your backlinks, domain rating, whatever. Quickly review like who is activity I use, domain tools, and domain IQ. Check out your search engines for any exact matches. Past branding. Was there any news or press like connected to that? Is there anything negative? Check name bio for any comps. What did it previously sell for if it was reported? You can check socials to see if there's any exact or near match handles or usernames. TM search if you've got time. I didn't have time to do that with these ones today. And then if you're really serious, you can always like set up Google alerts or Reddit alerts or whatever for that specific term or the domain name to see if there's any like activity going on for it. But that's a few things because I just thought, I don't know, people might want to get some value out of a show like this.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely.
Can I add to that?
Get some value for a change.
Can I add to that? So another search related to like the Google and the Reddit search is a GitHub search.
Yeah.
See if anybody's building anything on that name. But all that's a lot of work. So something that's like quick and dirty is what I'll do is I'll go to LinkedIn. I'll type in that name to see if any companies are using that name, which kind of international. You can also use Crunchbase.
Yeah.
So the other thing is I'll take a look at the other primary TLDs. So if you're looking at .com, what's happening with the net, the org, the IO, the code, the AI, the XYZ? Because if those are available, you'll never sell your .com, right? Someone's going to just register that name and get it for nothing, right? Or let's say you're looking at an IO. Well, the .co is going to be comparable, the org and the net. Those are all kind of comparable value. And if those are available for, say, $500, you're never going to sell yours for $10,000. Or if they're available for hand reg, you're never going to sell yours for anything because somebody's going to go hand reg a comparable extension, then buy yours. So those are quick and dirty ways just to research your potential to sell it and for how much.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think looking at the amount of, how many SLDs it's registered in, some people, what do you guys think about age of a domain? Does that ever come into, does it matter? I mean, if a name, hits pending delete or, if it expired maybe one time way back in the day.
It definitely, I think, is an indicator of value. It's one indicator, right? But, if a name was first registered in the 90s, then it's going to be more valuable than, in the, let's say 96, 97, 98, chances are that name is a valuable name. It doesn't guarantee it, but chances are it is.
And there were,
I can't watch Marzi though right now. Like he's so like in character. It's like this water thing. It's like, you're like, man, it's just one thing. It's one thing.
One thing.
I don't know.
But it can be an indicator, but it's not necessarily, because back then in late 80s, early 90s, there were companies that were registering their company name and they're meaningless names, right? And so just because it's that old doesn't mean it's like a premium name. Now, a lot of the premium names were registered back then, so it's oftentimes an indicator of value, but not always. Also, Mr. Clean, you mentioned the number of TLDs it's registered in, that's also could be misleading. Because what if it's registered in 50 TLDs and they're all owned by one company? Or what if all those TLDs are registered by investors and they're all for sale? Like, that's probably a negative for you, not a positive. So just because it's registered in a lot of TLDs does not mean it has more value.
Okay. Well, I think that's good. This is really, really good feedback, really good value. I'm gonna mention this in the intro that this happened. And speaking of another thing that happened, we just you guys don't know this yet because the show actually airs tomorrow. But the show we just did, we have Michael Seiger comes back on the show, which is it was a pretty awesome episode. And the reason that I bring it up, other than just to shout out Seiger and the fact that like we're cool and he's still willing to hang out with us, is that he talks about all the tools that the DN Academy offers, and they do some of that, like when you're using those tools to look up a domain to, get some of that. And it'll even bring up like related companies that exist on Crunchbase related to terms and things and domains that you might be looking at. And so I think that if we're talking about providing value, because I think then the question will come up. I mean, Jen rattled off 12 different things that she does, right? And, I think it's also a question of, okay, you don't have a lot of time necessarily. I mean, I think a lot of people who spend a lot of time buying names off of the expiry, buying names off of the drop, these are sophisticated buyers who've established, they use certain software, they have different scripts that they run off of the spreadsheets that they pull and things like that. But if you're coming in, and especially if you're a relatively new domainer, it could be a little daunting to try to figure out how do I get all of this information. So, DN Academy does a really good job, although, that's going to change shortly. I mean, it's under the GoDaddy umbrella. He mentions on the show, which I guess I could talk about this now because it'll have already aired, but, this is relatively public knowledge is that in December, they're going to rebrand as the GoDaddy Domain Academy, but you still get access to all the tools if you're part of the discount club and all that good stuff. So, because you also mentioned Ahrefs, which is also a really good tool. I know Braden's mentioned that before on the show. You mentioned Name Bio, right? Which is great if you're looking up names that, trying to understand if a name's been bought, sold, what the comps might look like. Crunchbase is a big, and like I said, I know that DN Academy ties into Crunchbase. So anyway, just trying to help everybody out, other than Domain Sherpa being like your, single source of truth, although none of this is financial advice.
But I'll add one thing though, that you shouldn't rely on all these tools. At some point, you need to be able to develop your own instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I would use the tools kind of just to be a test of your instinct, right? Kind of a validator. But if you're
to help develop it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying once at some point your instinct needs to get better. You shouldn't have to rely on the tools. And I just think if your instinct's not getting better, if you're still constantly off, then you should spend a little more time studying maybe, and then to kind of refine that gut. But at the end of the day,
Marzi, man, he's just bringing the heat, talking like he's just.
To further that, so these tools can be used. Many of these tools can be used to actually find buyers. So after you already own the name, or potentially even before you own the name, prospective buyers. And there's one that I talked about on the show before a while ago, but I'll mention it now since it's kind of topical. Is we're talking about TLDs and what's actually happening with those TLDs, not just at the register.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to know what's developed, and a way to look for developed TLDs in the SLD that you're interested in or that you own is to do a search on Google with site : whatever the SLD is, .wildcard. So you're going to wildcard the TLD. So I'll use Parasail, for example, since I mentioned it. Site : Parasail .*. And what that'll do is it'll bring up all of the developed sites that are using Parasail on a different TLD or on any TLD, right? And you're going to get every page on every site. So you're going to get a lot, but that will show you that potentially buyers in other countries that you didn't think of. So there might have been a TLD that you didn't think of looking up .hr or, whatever. So, but you'll find all these developed sites out there, and those are all prospective buyers for maybe you have the .com.
And that's also fantastic advice. This is it. See, Jen, you started something. You started a really good trend here to get even more value to everybody. See?
You should have Sandra D back more often.
Well, hey, I know. I'm trying to get her on every show. She's just half the time she doesn't even. She just ignores my calls.
That's because they come in the middle of the night for her.
Yeah. Well, how I have problems trying to get the whole time zone stuff squared away, and currency and other things. I'm challenged. But no, all jokes. But I think to Ammar's point, and I think that's a good one as well, which is look like, some of the best, and I say this, Drew, I don't want to just load a compliment on him because he'll, his ego needs it. But, instinctively, he's one of the best that I've ever encountered who just and especially when it comes to domains. And part of it is because he's been doing this for so long. He's been involved in so many domain sales, names that we talk about or whatever. It's like, oh, I sold that to this. I almost bought that back then for that, and I know Braden and Ammar have some of that same experience. And, and I think, Ammar's absolutely right. It's like, there are a lot of tools. There's enough sort of action happening. And yes, not all of the sales are reported, but there's enough out there so that you should be able to sanity check some of your own sort of instincts and judgment. And a lot of that, though, is only going to come from experience and, taking the time. So whether you're actually using real money or you're just following the markets and, or following the domain markets and the auction platforms and, and all that kind of stuff. But, nothing's easy. Nothing worth doing is easy. And this is, and especially on the sales side, bear market means it's harder to sell domain names. And, I think a lot of people are feeling that. And, so where it might have been easier where, hey, anything I register that's got meta in it, a year ago, you could flip it for 10X or 20X if you hand regged it. But, and I think it's important, you got to be built to be able to withstand the good, the bad. And, if you're trying to do this, it can be a side hustle. It's all good. But a lot of tools out there, you definitely want to make sure you put in the work, just like anything. So, all right. Well, with that, since that was a really good lead in, are we going to talk about any of the specific names, some of the thoughts on retail pricing and, what the wholesale pricing should be, what a name you might be looking at, what you'd pay for it and what you'd sell it for?
There were a few that I kind of picked out that were okay. There was nothing that was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. But
that's the problem real quick. I just want to tell the audience, right? And I know, but because I didn't give your whole bio, right? Leading into this. And it's, so Jen runs Evergreen and they are a super premium domain broker. So she has expensive tastes and, in conjunction with Adam Strong, by the way. Hey, big shout out to Adam. Adam, got your email. I know you were trying to get on here. I know you even said you were already wearing your costume. I'm really sorry, dude. We just can't do the 5 people on here at once. So I know you got dressed up. He said that, he said he was going as Brandon Lee from The Crow. You know what I'm saying? He had his face painted in the whole 9. And I think that is awesome. You didn't have to send me those pictures, but all good. I appreciate it. Next time, dude. Next time, it's going to happen. Anyway, big shout out to Adam Strong.
2028, I think there's a spot.
Big shout out to Adam, a.k.a. Brandon Lee from The Crow. He's been on the show before. I think he was John Wick maybe the one time or something. And, so it's cool. We'll get you back on here, man. I know it's important. I know it matters to you.
It won't be by populardemand.com.
Populardemand.com. That's a domain. Now that's a domain, Ammar. I think that's one that people should, you know what I mean? Popular Demand. I don't know who owns that, but I bet it's 2 really cool dudes. Anyway, sorry, I went off way on a tangent. Sherpaween, Trick or Treat. All I'm saying is that Jen deals with very high-end domains. So when she gets these NameJet lists, she is very unenthused. But it's all right. There's gold to be mined. And let's help people mine it. Let's go.
Okay. So I think that the used.com, that's actually quite a popular band who I've never heard of before. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they've got 178,000 Twitter followers. Meh. They've been around since 2001. Meh. But I really only think that they're the only buyer for the name.
Yep.
So, and I didn't.
That could be a vintage site. It could be a lot of
It
stuff.
was.
Amarzi used to play with the
It was
used.
a marketplace. I think it was
Amarzi
a
used to play bass
marketplace.
for the used. So he knows them dudes like pretty well. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you do in a situation like that? You know, there's some names that I included
Yeah.
on here specifically to bring up interesting questions. And you know, so for something like this, right, where you're like, all right, you know, it's a popular band, you know, there's possibly some trademark issues involved. Maybe not as bad as, you know, there's another name on the list that's, you know, even more to the point of this. But I think it's a, you know, so what do you do? I mean, is it interesting? Is it the kind of thing that's even worth it? Are you doing any research ahead of time to try to see, hey, are these guys truly, if there's one buyer, but it's a good buyer, and it's, I'm not saying this is that, right? But I'm just saying in that instance, you know, are you really getting under the hood to try to see, or is if it's like, hey, there's one buyer for this, and I'm not going to be the one that's going to try and sell it to them?
I personally wouldn't go for it. Yeah, I think it was some kind of used goods type of marketplace back in the day, Ammar. But I probably wouldn't. But as a broker, when I have sometimes seen names like this coming up for auction, I'll reach out to the group and either just give them a courtesy heads up, or I've represented people in auctions to grab names on their behalf.
And
but
you know,
that's a broker's point of view. That's not an investor's point of view, obviously.
No, but I think that's a good point. And look, big shout out to Elliot Silver, because Elliot does a really good job of that kind of thing. Whenever there's a name coming up for auction on NameJet, and it's clear that, like, you know, it's one particular end user who maybe, you know, forgot to renew it or something happened, or they should be interested in it. He, you know, he's pretty active about reaching out and trying to make sure that folks. So big shout out to Elliot. I haven't seen him in a minute. But you know, he's good people. So, all right. So the used is kind of, sort of, but not really for you.
To answer your question though directly, JT, if there's only one buyer, then you have to know, I generally wouldn't want to buy, you know, wouldn't want to spend a lot for that name. And B, you'd want to know if your buyer has the wherewithal to pay a big price, right? Because this band, if they've been around since 2001 and nobody's heard of them, then they probably aren't going to have a whole lot of money. Not that we've heard of it.
I've heard of them because they've got 178,000 Twitter followers. So, and they've got a blue tick, so they're verified. So I was kind of like, well, they must have some kind of following.
But they've been around for 20 years and they haven't bought the name.
Right.
No doubt. And I think 178,000, it's more than I have, but I don't think it's that much in the grand scheme of things from a popular demand.com standpoint.
Right. They have, and they're on the .net, which is kind of funny. They're on the used.net.
Oh, the used.net. See? So maybe they're the ones who bought climax.net to try to bring it all together. So
right, they're rebranding.
Rebranding. The used.
I'm only going to do one more because I did the little like actual useful information earlier.
Oh, wow. Okay, Sandy.
But the only other one that's of interest to me is Leonardo DiCaprio. So if he would like me to help him with that name, get my details, and I'm more than happy to make myself available for that. You just let me know anytime.
Jen, you're a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl, but you're over 25. So
that's right. I know. I am.
You're slightly outside. You're a couple of years outside the window.
I know. I'm beyond puberty, so I'm definitely like not in the running.
Ouch.
Anyway.
But yeah, so let's talk about that one for a sec. So it's the name of a famous person, right? And I think we've talked about this before on the show, you know, and I mean, obviously I do enough trademark stuff that, you know, a name like this to me is one of those where it's like, you know, I mean, I would be, you know, I'd stay.
I don't touch that shit.
Even though, you know, I've got mad love for Leo, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I would be way away from this one. But, you know, I mean, it is literally his name. I don't understand why he doesn't have it.
I don't understand either.
Popping up on expiry. So, Braden, any thoughts on this?
Oh yeah, for sure. So let's be clear. That is a trademark name. Like there is it's been proven. There's precedent. You cannot. If it was like Bob Smith, and there's a lot of Bob Smiths, Fine. There's only one Leonardo DiCaprio.
Shout out to Bob Smith, by the way.
That's his name, and he can UDRP that name in a hot second. It's trademark infringement, been proven. Stay away from this name. I know a bunch of people be like, "Oh, it's a good name. I'll sell it to him." No, you won't.
Yep. And that's why I wanted to add.
I think it was a fan site. I think it was a fan site originally, which a lot of people do that, thinking that they'll get away with it, but
only because look, it was a fan site and it existed because Leo allowed it. And if he wanted that name, he would have taken it from them.
No, I think you're allowed to have fan sites as long as you're not monetizing. I think you can have gripe sites and fan sites.
Oh, so you're going to tell me there's not going to be like a Google ad feed on there or something?
Well, I'm just clarifying your statement.
I mean, yeah, well, no, yeah, I agree.
And I will say, I think actually Ammar makes a good point. And at some point I want to get John Berryhill and some of the other experts to come on and talk about some, Zach Muskovich, talk about some of these specific issues, right? But I think you could conceivably buy the domain, put up a fan site, have zero monetization, and you probably would withstand a UDRP if it was purely an informational fan site. I think then it comes up to a question of who is going to spend $10,000 or whatever it might be. I mean, maybe this sells for this probably sells for $5,000, $6,000, maybe more. Who's going to spend that kind of money though, and not try to actually make a buck off of it?
Plus you got to pay John Berryhill to defend the UDRP. So
exactly, and he don't come cheap.
Factor that in too. Shout out to John.
Yeah, no, big shout out to John. And and I think that's really the point. For me, these are like a no-go, right? I mean, it's just there's no, unless you're literally hired by somebody like Leo himself to go get the domain, you're really staying as far away from it as you probably can.
For sure.
So see, this is all good nuggets, all good pieces of information for the audience. I love it. Sherpaween, So let's see. So let's move it on along. Or am I playing? This is the word. Or am I not? I don't know. I don't want to get shut down for copyright infringement. So let's keep it moving. Amarzi, what's up, man? What do you got?
What's going on? Let's see.
What's going on? I love this version of Ammar. I'm just saying.
I can bring it next time too. Looksgood.com kind of reminds me of nicelife.com.
Okay.
So that's one again that I like a lot. If it goes for any like 10 grand, I think that's overpaying, but that's a name I like, right? I think it's super brandable. I don't know who's going to pay a lot of money for it, but it's a cool name. So I do like that.
There is an AI company called looksgoodai.com. And they're relatively new, so it might be them.
Got it. So, but see, that's an example of I'm going based on gut, right? I haven't looked anything up. I just know that if they're the only buyer, again, that's an example of they're the only buyer. I guess they'd have to have a lot of money to make it worthwhile. And if, so I don't know. I do like the name though. Debt Buster is interesting. I think that one has some potential. I don't love any of the names on here. Motion Labs, okay. So I think
for what it's worth, the list was it was a really good list like 2 days ago for the Siger show, but I had to use all the good names for Mike. You know what I mean? Because
that's fine. We're just whatever.
We're just trash.
Yeah, I think my favorite name on here, but to be clear, I don't think it's the most valuable name, but my favorite name would be Looks Good.
Looks Good. Yeah, I like that one a lot. To me, it's one of those things that's a brand in a box. I mean, you could be doing, to me, it's sunglasses, right? I think it's, clothing. It's, any kind of, mirrors, home goods, all that kind of stuff. I think, the fact that you got an AI company running around called Looks Good, 3D. I mean, there are, to me, this one from a branding standpoint is a fantastic name. I like this one a lot. I agree about the overall list just being okay. And I was just kidding, sort of, about the mic thing. I thought you guys were going to laugh at that as opposed to just like looking like you, Now I'm like, oh no, I was just kidding. I'm kidding. Now I got to send texts after the show being like, I was just kidding, guys. I'm really sorry. I got to do that whole thing now. Thanks.
Yeah, we're all butthurt now, bro.
And but I'm into that. But I think like we say on the show. And Braden, when I it's not that your domain's worthless; it's that it's worth less, right? There's a price to every domain, at which point it no longer really makes sense. And I think for this one, if you can get this for $1 or $2K, but I think it's going to sell for more, right? I think it's going to be a $9,000 sale on NameJet.
There are no bad names. There's only bad prices.
Yeah, there you go. That's good too. It's
and sometimes $8 is a bad price.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Or I guess I wouldn't buy that, right? All right. So, any other feedback, Ammar? So you mentioned some of the stuff you like.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my favorite name. Again, I don't think it's the most valuable name. So I'll say the most valuable name from my perspective on here is probably the one that I think would sell the most.
Isn't it my turn yet?
No,
it's very soon, and then we'll let you rock for a while. Because you've been pretty good. You've been patient. You've been patient over
I've been a good clown.
Travel America.
I can't tell if you're are you a happy, cool clown, or you like Pennywise from the movie It? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think it could go a couple different ways.
We will see.
You're like the nice.
All right, go, Pinky.
All right, Pinky, you're up.
Why don't cannibals ever eat clowns?
Why?
It tastes funny.
They taste funny.
Yeah, yo. Let's go.
All right. Okay. So I like Travel America.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's the most valuable one.
Oh, you said
did you say that? I didn't even. I don't think you ever finished your thought, man. I think that water diet's got you
It came out your mouth.
I think if Billy goes back and rewinds,
Billy,
rewind the tape.
Run it back, man. Run it back right now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
Right, so
we'll finish this on social.
So moving along then. I like SoundLink. I think that's a good name. It's brandable. It sounds like a company, right? So I promise you there's a few companies named SoundLink because it just sounds like it. Motion Labs, probably the same thing. Kingsville is a city. So it's probably more than one city called Kingsville. Code Test. I think Code Test is pretty good too. And Sales Booster. Somebody's gonna put up a site called Sales Booster, all those sales funnels. And then there's one more I wanted to talk about. For all those people that want a oneword.com and think ostensible is it, it's not. Just because it's a one word and it's in the dictionary, forget it. No company is going to call themselves ostensible.com. So don't buy it. And I'm not saying that because I'm going to bid on it. I'm not bidding on it. I don't want that name. You shouldn't want it either.
Yeah, that real quick. So chiming in. Yeah, and I said this, we say this on a lot of the shows, not all oneword.coms are created equal, obviously. Right. This is one of those that literally is I just don't know what how much do you buy this for $500? Do you buy it for $200? Is there?
Do what with it?
No, that's my point.
Could. If that's what you can, if you can afford $200 to sit on it forever and never sell it, great.
That's what I mean. I think that's
it's like hypnagogic. If I'm even saying that correctly, I think it has to fall into sleep. It's like that dream state or something when you're falling. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't see that used any company using that as a what are they going to call them? It doesn't make sense. I can't even get a sentence out.
It's that state immediately before falling asleep. So for me, when I'm trying to take a nap, I always call it touching the bottom of the pool. So that's the thing. When I'm this is just I'm weird. I don't know, but I'm telling you.
You know what, but Billy, just delete that because
I'm not. No, because I don't care because I'm down to share. You know what I'm saying? Look, I tell all this to my therapist anyway. Why don't I just tell? It's just the four of us. Who else is gonna? No one's listening this far into the show at this point. You know what I'm saying? They bounced a while ago, man. They were like, "Yo, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna watch the Siger episode twice. It's fine."
We're an hour into this. They gave up a long time ago. Thank you for all those that are still listening.
Oh, hey,
you're all in a hypnagogic state right now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, man. But like, that's so for me when I'm taking, that's always the thing. It's like when you're right at that cusp and you're about to go, it's like it's touching the bottom of the pool and boom, you're out. That's just like, I don't know. That's my thing. So
Okay. Well, thank you. That doesn't make any sense to me, but I appreciate the
he's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm literally wearing pajamas and a wig right now. And if it doesn't make sense to me, then Billy cut all that out. All right.
So, hey, so there is a developed site called ostensibles.com, plural. So, and there's a few other sites. This is an Amazon store, it looks like. But anyway, there's a few other names where they were using ostensible in there. It is registered in 8 TLDs, which, as Braden mentioned earlier, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. But
well, I'll tell you, I like the plural better than the singular, right? I mean,
but you'd probably want to have both, right? Like, if I'm a believer, if you're actually going to build out your brand, if you can get both, get it cheap enough. And by the way, the .org in ostensibles, the plural, is also developed so it's 2 different people. So that's interesting. But anyway, so the answer to your question,
I mean, what's weird about that word is it's inherently negative, right? I mean, it's like to be putting up a front, kind of like,
right,
and
right. But maybe you could flip it, right, and make it something more interesting. Maybe there's a play on it. I don't know. But I wouldn't pay $5,000 for it. Yeah. But would I pay 500? Probably not. But I don't know. If you catch me on the right day,
I was expecting you to close that a little differently when you're like, would I pay 5,000? Hell no. Would I pay 500? Still hell no. Right. It's like,
no,
okay.
It's a probably.
I sold, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this.
I'm not planning on bidding on it. Would I handwrite it?
Yeah, it sold on NameJet in 21 for 463.
There you go.
Yeah. And that's why I said, I mean, it seems like it's somewhere in that on NameJet. It's and
it'll sell.
I don't see. Oh, it's going to sell because people want oneword.coms because they think they automatically have value. But I don't see anything developed in any of the primary extensions so far. I'm still typing, but
no, they're not.
You checked everything?
Yeah, but one of them. But like I said, there's some that use ostensible in the name that seem like they could be developed at some point. So there's ostensible partners, ostensible productions, ostensible muse.
I see it in like the ostensible productions, like something sort of artistic or something. Right. The ostensible. It's one of those words now. You're going to say it so many times, it's going to just sound weird. Right. Kind of
the .org of the plural is a theater company, so it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and I buy that. Like that would be kind of the one thing you could, because it's about like, pretending, right? So, kind of like all of us in costume on this show, right? There is a
film production company, like you said. Like we're
ostensible, we're the ostensibles.
So what's funny is when the option comes up to
Sandy, come on, Sandy.
We're all bidding.
Don't quit on. Don't give up on us, Sandy. Sandy, don't. You know what I'm saying?
Fading fast. Hang on.
The full thing. That's it. It's all happening. It's all going down. Yeah. So, all right. Well, there's a couple other names on the list. Superforce, Sex Toy Shop, which is, we just talked about adult names. How do adult names, it's funny. I haven't bid on or seen anything. I don't know if I've ever bid on an adult name in NameJet, but I don't remember even seeing them come across much of the sales reports back in the day. Any idea how they do on NameJet? You guys pay any attention to that stuff?
That particular name has sold quite a few times over the years. NameJet 2010 5,100, 2,850 on NameJet in 2018, and then in 2020 10,905 on Cedo. That one was though. So, but I had an issue with this one because I'm kind of like, well, I mean, obviously there's the .shop, but who's gonna use that? But then your go-to is always going to be sextoys.com. Like, I just don't sex toy shop just seems really pedestrian.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's just it's funny because 18. I mean, I was around. I just I don't remember this coming across ever, and there's not really I don't remember a lot of adult names in general going across NameJet, and but it's pretty generic and it seems interesting. But yeah, like the dot shop. I mean, that would be pretty redundant. Sex toys shop or sex toy shop dot shop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway,
No, it's not great.
what about Motion Lab? Motion Lab,
I kind of like it.
Yeah, that one's good. Look, there's a lot of decent names. There's not a lot of great names.
Yeah, no, and I mean, look, I mean that's what it is, and and what ends up happening is people overpay for decent names, and we see it all the time. Last one I'm going to mention, and then we'll move on and just kind of close things up here on Sherpaween, houseoffashion.com. House of Fashion.
I like it.
That sounds like a brand to me. I mean, that's like, does that already exist? Is that a thing? I would think one of these fashion houses calls themselves the House of Fashion,
Yeah, I think so. But it's also that kind of space. It's just so saturated and highly competitive. It's very, very, very difficult. I mean, yeah, it would want to be an existing business, I think, not a new one.
Okay. Yeah, well,
there are several companies called House of Fashion.
Yeah, and I thought I actually like that one. I think that one's pretty cool. And but all right, well, look, I think we did good work. We did good work, and we provided a lot of value. I appreciate you guys there on that.
Ooh, pressure. All
right, so now as we're kind of winding Sherpaween down, as we're getting to the end of this extravaganza, let's let's go around the horn and just see what else is going on with everybody. Let's start with Pinky the Clown. Pinky, man, anything going on with you other than just living the dream?
Man, I've got some deals that the big 7-figure deals, they take a minute to close, right? They don't call me like, all right, I'll take it. And I've got several that have just been going back and forth for what is everybody doing right now?
I don't know. I'm just doing my costume pose. I'm just like, in case anybody's taking a picture. I don't know.
I'm listening to
all are goofing around. No one takes me.
I don't know what they're doing.
Why are you not taking me seriously right now?
That'll be the clip that we're gonna go with, I think. So the 7-figure deals take a while to close.
Yeah, so I've got several deals that have been been in discussion, and a couple of them are already fallen out, and I'm just like, one of these has got to close eventually. It's just killing me. I don't know what's going on, but something's got to close soon. I'm anxious.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, I think, look, things are just kind of slow in general across, I think for a lot of folks, that just seems to be the general sentiment. Markets picked up a little bit over the last 24, 48 hours. We'll see how long that kind of holds and lasts. But what are you saying, Ammar? What are you doing?
Just hang in there, bro.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on, but I do like this version.
We're losing to Marzi.
Marzi is like, he's like, hey.
He's lightheaded right now. He hasn't eaten in 4 days.
I'm lightheaded.
All right, Sandy, what is up? So tell us, what is good with you guys?
Not much to report. Just living my best life down here. Hanging out for some travel next year. Something to look forward to.
You're coming to the ICA thing in Vegas, right?
I don't know. That may have changed now.
Come on, Sandy.
Well, we'll be there. So I think Drew will be there. I'll be there. We'll, we'll do the Vegas thing. So.
I thought, Sandra D, I thought you were coming. We're gonna get the whole crew together. What happened?
But yeah, I don't know.
I'm like, I'm gonna be there, and Braden's like, Sandy, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, no, but I'm gonna be there. Like, we're gonna get to hang out.
I'll just rock up with this, yeah.
I'm like, come on, Braden. Like, we're gonna chill. So you guys were gonna go, and now you're not. Like, what's the deal? Like, you doing some other travel? Where you headed? Tell it. Give us some details.
Moi?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, January is always like a weird time of year for me because for us it's the start of the school year for starters, and so that always makes it a bit tougher. But I was going to be going over there for another meeting of sorts, and it was nearby, and so it made sense to maybe back onto the Vegas thing. But now I'm probably not going to that, so then I'm like, yeah. So that's where it's at. I don't know. It could change. Who knows?
Okay, well, all good. And then on the business front, Evergreen, what do you guys, or any of your other sort of some of the charity stuff that you do? How's what's going on? Anything happening there that's worth noting?
Yeah, I mean, one thing we've been working on. I mean, Adam's portfolio is about, I think, between 15,000, 20,000 names at the moment. So one thing that we've been developing is obviously all of our own sale landers, which some people may have stumbled across the one word landers that we have, but we just, we're in like the final stages, just about to launch, few kinks of our own buy it now landers. So they'll get deployed across most of that portfolio. And then we've got a couple of other portfolios we look after. And so that's just been integrated with like the escrow API, working with those guys. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see how that goes, having already run a similar project when I worked for Fabulous with Fabulous Domains and their portfolio.
Okay.
And just finding those like sweet spots in pricing, playing around with designs and things like that. So that's where that's at.
Very cool. That's all good info. We like it. All right, Amarzi, what about you, man? You're going on tour soon. You got a new album coming out. What's going on?
Well, I'm preparing for tour with this fast, as I was telling you guys beforehand. For anybody who's feeling undisciplined or a little stuck, I've been doing a water fast. I'm on day 4. I haven't eaten since Saturday, and so I feel pretty good. Once in a while, I get a little hangry, and then my wife and groupie, babe, come.
Is Josephine about to make an appearance on the show? What's up? Oh, let's go.
There she is.
Like Storm from X-Men.
I know, looks like Storm, huh?
Let's go. That's awesome. Yeah. Welcome to the show. What's happening?
Quick, bleached blonde hair.
We got Skip Bros and Skip Gals on the show now, hanging out. That's what's up.
I'm out. There we go.
So yeah, she's been putting up with my on and off hanger.
Yeah, I just go out and leave the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah, that's probably not the worst idea at all.
Dinner in front of me.
I don't have anything here. No meatballs.
No, yeah, you gotta right? Because you gotta clear everything out of the house. Otherwise you might graze even
Amazing. I'm just like snacking on everything. I'm like, yeah.
I got
chips.
2.5 more days to go before I can eat. So I'm gonna eat on Friday.
Do you guys still have the second condo in the building? Maybe that's where she keeps all the food. You know what I'm saying?
No.
That's where it all is. I love it. All right, that's what's up.
Other than that, that's it, man. Everything is fantastic and feel good.
All right. Well, I love it. I love that Josephine came on the show. This makes it like super special. Happy Sherpaween, like this really is a celebration now. It's like that's awesome.
Right.
And the names.
And I'll say, one more thing for people that probably maybe are going to start feeling some maybe a little negativity because of, I think things are going to slow down for a little bit. And so I think for the newer people that haven't been through it before, I think you just got to
rock on.
You can do that.
Rock on. Let's go.
Just ride it out. It will get better, but it's probably going to suck for a little bit.
But yeah, so no, and I think you're absolutely right. I think, we're seeing a little bit of this uptick in the crypto markets, a little bit in the stock market, but it doesn't seem to be based on anything fundamental. So, whenever that happens, it's kind of like, okay, this is just sort of I don't want to say market manipulation, but it's hard to pin it down to anything like substantial. So it's likely
bigger than us, forces that are bigger than us.
Well, and it just means it's also likely not sustainable, right? Until the Fed pivots. And the Fed, I think, is going to look at some of this stuff. Unfortunately, they're going to look at some of this sort of success and, and or whatever, just some of the positive movement and think, okay, cool. So we can still continue to raise rates. That's going to continue to lead to, sort of this bottoming out that I think everybody expects that we don't feel like we've seen yet. And it's kind of like, look, using these types of tools to try to control inflation. I mean, I appreciate the effort. Unfortunately, you're basically saying, hey, we want to slow down the economy in order to get inflation under control, which means, hey, we want companies to start to struggle. We want people to lose their jobs. I mean, I know that's not exactly what they said, but that's what is the impact. Happen. That's what slowing down an economy is. Like, it's saying, hey, we want people to have less money. We want people to be less, prosperous. And in the process, that will help to chill things out. So people will stop spending money on so much stuff. So supply chains will slow down. So inflation will slow down, all those kinds of things. It's tough that's what they've got to pull out of the toolbox to do it. So I agree with you. I think we will see some struggles. I
Our
think
market's going to take a hit, and
but
then it'll come back even stronger because a lot of the future unicorns are going to come out of this time, and and everybody's going to need domain names even more than
Oh yeah. I mean, for our space, I would agree with you 100%. I think we're going to end up seeing what we're seeing now. Things are slow. There's pockets, but overall, it's especially when you compare it to last year. And we'll continue to see that. And then, it may last 6 months, maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months. I mean, it's going to be rough when you look at some of the fundamentals of, consumer spending, energy pricing, you even think about what it means, not in the United States, and then what kind of drag then that eventually, we're seeing things cracking, maybe not in the US, but elsewhere. And that will ultimately, have an impact. And, and it's like the strength of the US dollar is getting stronger. Okay, that's a good thing in some respects, but in others it's not, because it will have a negative impact, as we're already seeing, the euro below the dollar, right? Which is, never, you don't see that. So now that you do, it's like, that's not necessarily a good thing. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's an important message to kind of send everybody. We're up here celebrating, having fun, kind of goofing off, but I hope everybody is, taking steps to just, be safe and secure and, during these tough times. But I will agree with your last sentiment. And we talk about this internally all the time. Drew would echo the same thing, which is it's not going to last forever, right? The bear markets don't last forever. Wealth is created in the bear markets. It will create incredible opportunities for wealth, generational wealth, as they say, and all that stuff. It's because, people are going to need cash. If you're liquid, there's going to be some really interesting opportunities that are going to come around. And when things finally pick back up and explode again, there really is that opportunity because, there's sort of unprecedented amounts of cash that's now on the sidelines, VCs, angels. I mean, when you look at domain names, for us, our biggest customers are, obviously private equity firms, angel investors, the startups that they are funding, VCs. And, right now they're just sitting on a shitload of cash, but every article that comes out talks about how they're funding less, they're spending less. Like everybody's in a wait and see kind of mode to, till we weather this storm. So, so I think that's an important sentiment, just so people know you're not the only one that might be struggling, that might not be getting sales when things were different and better, 6, 9, 12 months ago. It won't last forever. Try not to overextend yourself. If it's the first time going through a situation like this, it's not going to last forever. So, yeah, man. So
100%.
That's really some deep stuff, Ammar Z. And,
Great.
But yeah, for a second when Josephine was on the show, it was like the closest we've had, since Tess was on, to having not all dudes, to actually having almost more females than males on the show, which was refreshing. We're going to have Leanne on the show in like 2 weeks. So that's going to be cool. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So she's coming on and,
Right.
And just trying to extend the crew. We got a lot of great people in this space, and being at NamesCon gave me an opportunity to talk to some people. And I did talk to, I'm like, Barry Hill, man, what's up? We got to get you on the show. There's definitely a lot of super smart, interesting people that can bring some really great perspective. So you will see more and more of that. Anyway, so all right, well, all good stuff. I think we kind of been through it. We've been around it. We've been ups and downs. You know what I mean? We closed out with a message of hope. You know what I mean? I feel like this is like the New Year's Eve show, maybe. You know what I mean? Like it's all good. Everybody stay strong and rock on. Stay clean. You know, grease is the word. And
Grease is the word.
you know, grease is the word. And
Yeah.
I love it though. Are you gonna be able to rock this costume anywhere else, or is this it?
This.
Yeah, that.
Where on earth would I wear this?
No, I mean, like, are you guys got any Halloween parties, any costume parties?
No, this is just for you guys.
Well, thank you. You know what?
I think you should wear that just in general. I think it'd be fun.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Braden's like, I would pay extra for that. I'm gonna go into my Mr. Clean pose one last time. All right, everybody. Look, I want to thank my co-hosts for being great sports. This was a lot of fun. You guys are awesome. I love this crew. It really is a squad. And Jen, especially appreciate it. Josephine, appreciate you. Rock on. And so, yeah, no, all y'all appreciate you guys. And to the audience, like I say in every show, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Without you, there is no us. You got anything you want to hit us up about, good, bad, ugly? We're not hard to find. So definitely get at us. And otherwise, we will see everybody next time here on Domain Sherpa. Maybe not in costume, but still, all roads lead to domains. All right, everybody. Peace out. Happy Sherpaween. We'll see y'all later.